For 3 years of marriage, Sarah divorced me 9 times because of Ryan, her childhood friend who suffered from depression. The first time, she needed to attend his graduation ceremony as a single person. The second time, she had to fulfill Ryan's mother's dying wish. The third time, she had to accompany him to his family home for visiting the family plot as a family member. Time after time, Ryan would swear it was the last. David, Ryan is all alone in the world. If I don't take care of him, he'll have no family left. It wasn't until my mother-in-law was critically ill that he tricked Sarah into divorcing me again, claiming he was terminally ill. My mother-in-law was so enraged she passed away immediately, yet I couldn't reach Sarah no matter what. Afterward, she cried uncontrollably and knelt before my mother-in-law's grave, saying she would live a good life with me from now on and never care about Ryan again. But later, when Ryan threatened to go abroad in a fit of pique and never return, she completely panicked. She got into a car accident while speeding, but she didn't even look at me lying in a pool of blood. You stay and handle the accident, I'm going after Ryan. I promise this is the last time. That night, the two of them were challenging the record for the longest kiss by a couple on the Ferris wheel. Meanwhile, I lay on the cold operating table and closed my eyes forever. When the car accident happened, I pushed Sarah out to protect her, but I was trapped in the car. I think I'm hurt, it hurts so much, can you please get me out first? Sarah looked impatient. She took a photo of the divorce certificate she had just gotten and sent it to Ryan, never once looking at me. There's no time, Ryan's mother's dying wish was for me to take good care of Ryan. I can't leave him alone in a foreign land. You've always been understanding. Don't use a pathetic trick like this, it's a low-class tactic. I promise this is the last time. She hailed a taxi and Dee left without looking back. Tears blurred my vision. It wasn't long ago that she would get incredibly worried if I just coughed. Everything changed after Ryan came back. In just 3 short years, this was the 10th time she had divorced me because of Ryan. Because he had depression, because he lost his mother, because he was terminally ill. Anyone could see through his tricks, but Sarah fell for them again and again. The lower half of my body was numb with pain. In my desperate calls for help, a kind soul finally stopped their car. A few people worked together to pull me out. My legs were crushed into a bloody mess from the impact, and the bleeding wouldn't stop. Lying in the ambulance, I felt a fear and despair I had never known. Thinking she had already gone after Ryan, I trembled and called her. Sarah, I'm bleeding a lot, I'm scared I won't make it. I'm on my way to the hospital, can you come stay with me? A stifled moan came from her phone call. David Miller, do you know how ridiculous you sound acting like jealous teenagers? No, I'm not lying, you can video call and see, I'm really in an ambulance. Little greedy cat, did you sneak ice cream again? Don't you know you have a sensitive stomach? What's there to be afraid of? Even if my stomach hurts, don't I have my human heater, Sarah? I was shivering from the cold, my voice thick with tears. You promised Mom you would take good care of me. If something really happens to me, how will you explain it to her? All right, I'll come right over after I'm done here. So annoying! As soon as I arrived at the hospital, the emergency room doctor gave me a full checkup. His expression was heavy and pitying. Mr. Miller, we've put you on a pain pump. If there's anyone you want to see them as soon as possible. My ears were ringing, and it took me a while to understand what he meant. In just half a day, I had been sentenced to death. My hand trembled as I fumbled with my phone, dialing the WR-on number several times before I managed to unlock it. The pain pump was on maximum, but it couldn't alleviate the agony throughout my body. Eventually, I couldn't even hold the phone steady. The young nurse kindly placed the phone next to my ear. As soon as the call connected, I couldn't help but cry out. Sarah, the doctor said I don't have long to live. A searing pain in my chest, and I coughed up a mouthful of dark blood. Sarah, please, I'm begging you, can you come to the hospital now? I'm so scared. The doctor said I'm severely injured and probably won't make it. On the other end of the phone, she scoffed. David Miller, that's just like you, always talking about dying. Aren't you afraid of bringing bad luck? If you really want to die, then go ahead and die. You can go down and take care of my mother for me. It'll save me the trouble of divorcing and remarrying you. It's such a hassle. 5 years dating, 3 years married, and all I got in the end was it's such a hassle. Choking on blood, the nurse beside me quickly pressed the emergency call button beside the bedside. Patient David Miller, room 2, is in critical condition. Needs immediate resuscitation. Sarah's voice paused. David Miller, are you really at the hospital? Sarah, we're next. I want a Princess Carrie and a kiss. Sarah kept agreeing. In her haste, she completely disregarded whether I lived or died. David, wait for me obediently at the hospital. I'll come see you after I'm done here. Ryan said as long as I fulfill this last wish of his, he won't act up anymore. Then I'll go back and get a marriage certificate with you and devote myself to you and live a life together. The phone call ended abruptly. Enduring the agony throughout my body, I wearily gazed towards the door. Sir, please rest your eyes for a bit. I'll be sure to wake you when your loved one arrives. Time was agonizingly slow. Every second felt like torture. Waiting from dusk till dawn, Sarah still didn't come. I felt cold, very cold. My body was starting to stiffen. The young nurse frantically called Sarah's phone, but it showed the phone was off. Sarah, I can't wait any longer. As my consciousness faded, I faintly heard Sarah's voice. Gathering my last bit of strength, I opened my eyes wide and looked at the tablet on the adjacent bed. Congratulations to Ms. Sarah and Mr. Ryan. You have broken the record for the longest kiss. Here's to a loving marriage and growing old together. Propose, propose. Amidst the cheers of the onlookers, my wife, Sarah, knelt on one knee. Ryan, will you marry me? I will. The last tear rolled from the corner of my eye. Full of resentment, I swallowed my last breath. My body felt lighter and lighter. The heart monitor beside the bed emitted a piercing sound. Many medical staff rushed to my bedside. Yet I was pulled by some unseen force towards Sarah. At that moment, she was holding a large bouquet of bright red roses, leaning tightly against Ryan. Sarah, have you ever given David Miller flowers? If you have, then I don't want these. Of course not. I promised you, I will only give flowers to you. I looked down sadly. So she wasn't allergic to pollen, she just didn't want to give flowers to me. Sarah, if I hadn't gone abroad back then, wouldn't our children be running all over the place by now? Sarah, do you prefer boys or girls? Sarah touched his hair tenderly. As long as they're your children, I'll cherish them like treasures. Even though I was dead, my heart still ached terribly. She had been pregnant with my child once, but she secretly aborted it, saying she didn't like children. When I found out, she cried and said she was afraid of dying in childbirth. Because of this, I even got a vasectomy myself. I watched as they walked hand in hand into the courthouse. Look, who's the new groom this time? In 3 years, Sarah and I divorced 10 times and married 9 times. Going in and out so often, we'd become regulars at the courthouse. The clerk initially sighed in disappointment, calling me pathetic and asking why I insisted on clinging to someone so toxic. I was an orphan. Sarah's mother sponsored me for 10 years. I had promised her that I would give Sarah 10 chances. Now I had finally repaid her. Sarah turned her head away awkwardly. When she begged me for a divorce back then, she had personally promised that she would only do it to fulfill Ryan's wish and absolutely would not marry Ryan. Sure enough, women's promises are all lies. Looking at their sweet smiles on the marriage certificate, my heart felt like it was drowning in sorrow. I didn't understand. I was already dead, why couldn't they just leave me alone, forcing me to witness their happiness and affection? Walking out of the courthouse, Sarah took out her phone while Ryan was in the restroom. The phone's screensaver was a professional photo of Ryan. Her profile picture had somehow been changed to a matching couple's profile picture with Ryan. Ryan's chat thread was pinned to the top. She scrolled for a long time before finding my name. David, how are you? If you're not feeling well, stay in the hospital for a few more days. That way I'll be at ease. I, who always replied instantly, this time still hadn't replied. She glanced at her phone one last time, then turned and walked out, linking arms with Ryan and hailing a taxi. Sarah, if I come home with you, would David be unhappy? No, he's sick and in the hospital. I told him to stay in the hospital for a while longer. You can stay at home and be comfortable. Even as a soul, my heart still ached terribly. I thought she was messaging because she was worried about me. It turned out she was afraid I'd come home and upset Ryan. But back then, she had personally promised me she absolutely would not bring Ryan back to our home. Sarah, don't worry, I won't come home and bother you anymore. I didn't want to see them ruin the home I had meticulously cared for, yet I was bound to them by an invisible force. Sarah, I'm so hungry, I want your homemade meatballs and sauce. Sarah, who had never stepped into the kitchen when she was with me, tied on an apron and expertly picked up a spatula. Ryan looked around curiously, pushed open Sarah's study, picked up a ceramic mug/cup from the desk, and ran out excitedly. Sarah, you still have this cup. This is the couple's mug we made together when we were 18. No wonder. When we first got married, I was cleaning the room and accidentally knocked over the cup. Sarah threw a huge tantrum. From then on, she refused to let me into her study again. It wasn't until a meal with several dishes was laid out on the table that I realized Sarah was actually such a good cook. Smelling the aroma of the food, I curled up in the corner of the sofa. My stomach rumbled inappropriately. I hadn't had a drop to eat or drink the entire day before I died. I even died hungry. Numbly, I watched as they brazenly took over my space, watching Sarah dotingly blow-drying Ryan's hair. Finally lying down, Ryan, who was staying in the guest room, sat up, carrying a pillow, and came to our bedroom. Sarah, I'm scared sleeping alone in a strange place. Can I sleep with you? I clenched my hands tightly, looking at Sarah. Sarah froze, saying nothing, but Ryan's eyes welled up. Forget it, this is your and David Miller's room, I have no right to stay here. I'll leave right now. Don't be silly. My home is your home. You can sleep anywhere you want. Something inside me felt like it was shattering. I stepped forward and punched Sarah, but it was no use. I watched helplessly as she lifted the covers and pulled an excited Ryan into her embrace. Sarah, must be hard to hold back. I can help you. Don't move around, you're still sick. A muffled sound. The blanket/duvet rose and fell. Tears streamed down my face uncontrollably. Dirty, so dirty. This was their supposed pure and platonic sibling-like bond. Things finally quieted down inside. Ryan's hoarse voice came. Sarah, I'm so sorry, I messed up your fingernail. Sarah's voice was husky with satisfaction. Why don't you paint them for me? The bed was a mess. Ryan leaned against the lumbar pillow I had made myself and pulled over Sarah's hand. Sarah, this ring is hideous. It doesn't suit your beautiful hand at all. Hearing that, Sarah pulled off the wedding ring from her ring finger and handed it to Ryan. But then Ryan tossed it into the trash can, whined, wrinkling his nose. Sarah, you're already married to me now, you're my wife. You're not allowed to wear another man's wedding ring. You little rascal. Even though my heart had gone cold, seeing this scene, I couldn't help but feel angry and sad. Late at night, when everything was quiet, Ryan fell into a deep sleep. Sarah quietly got up and walked out. She went to the balcony. Rarely, she called me. But I was already dead, how could I answer her call? She paced restlessly. Finally, she dug out our message history. What do you want to eat tomorrow? I'll bring it to you. It was different from what I expected. She didn't say anything harsh. Perhaps she felt guilty about cheating. As if she hadn't slept all night, Sarah woke up the next morning with dark circles under her eyes and rushed into the kitchen, starting busily rattling around. When Ryan got up, he saw Sarah, dressed and ready to go, holding an insulated food container. The corners of his mouth drooped. He pretended to be generous. Sarah, are you going to see David Miller? Yes, you should go see him. I'll be fine by myself. He couldn't help but get teary-eyed, making Sarah feel terrible for him. You rest at home first, I'll be quick and come right back to you. Rarely, Sarah wasn't kept back by Ryan's tears. As soon as the door closed, Ryan angrily threw the milk he was holding at my wedding photo on the wall. All the way, Sarah was distracted, constantly scrolling through our message history. The last few messages were all from her. No one was muttering to himself anymore, and no one was replying instantly. When she was almost at the hospital, Ryan called. "Sarah, I accidentally got burned, it hurts so much. Rinse it with cold water first, I'll come right back." Sarah turned the car around without hesitation. As soon as the car stopped, she impatiently rushed home, taking the stairs 2 at a time. So she could worry about someone like this too. Love and not love were so clear. "Where are you hurt? Let me see." Ryan held out his slightly reddened hand, kept saying it hurt so much. Sarah carefully helped him and hurriedly drove to the hospital. As luck would have it, it was the very same hospital I was in. Sarah kept his arm around Ryan the whole time during the examination. The doctor looked at the 2 dramatic people in front of him, speechless. At their repeated insistence, he prescribed a burn cream. While getting the medicine, Sarah heard some young nurses whispering beside her. "Ah, some people have all the luck. 2 men, yet such different fates. That man who got into a car accident the day before yesterday didn't even wait for his wife before he died. That's right. They say he got hurt protecting his wife. His wife is truly heartless. Even after he died, she didn't ask or care. I was right there when he died. His wife was challenging her childhood friend to some kissing competition. David was so pathetic." Sarah's heart sank. A bad feeling washed over her. "What was the name of the man you were talking about?" The young nurses stopped talking and looked at the unfamiliar woman in front of them, confused. Just then, Ryan rushed up from behind her and put his arm around her. "Sarah, your phone." Sarah used to hate it when I touched her phone, but Ryan could look through it whenever he wanted. She turned and took the phone, so she naturally didn't hear my name from the young nurses. It was one of her circle of friends/companions, Callie. Inviting her to a private club for a gathering. "Ryan got burned, I can't." "No, I'm fine. Sarah, let's go together." Sarah always followed his lead when it came to Ryan. Without a second thought, she took Ryan to meet her friends. As soon as they entered, warm applause erupted inside. "Sarah, you kept it quiet." If Ryan hadn't accidentally let it slip, we wouldn't have known that you childhood sweethearts finally ended up together. You finally got rid of David Miller, that dead weight. This is cause for celebration. Tonight, we'll drink until we drop. Sarah glanced at Ryan. She had clearly told him that getting married was just to fulfill his wish and she absolutely would not tell outsiders. Ryan shook her arm sheepishly. "Sarah, I just did it by accident." Sarah smiled helplessly, put her arm around him, and sat him down in the middle, replacing the ice water in front of him with room temperature juice. During the games, Ryan lost and had to kiss a person of the opposite sex for at least a minute. "That's easy." Sarah and I just broke the record for the longest kiss. He pulled Sarah onto his lap and leaned in with a smile. Sarah raised an eyebrow, grabbed the back of his head, and kissed him fiercely. Cheering erupted around them, but I felt like I had fallen into an ice cave. Even hearing them kiss on the phone wasn't as impactful as seeing it live. They kissed passionately, unable to pull away, until the timer went off, and they reluctantly separated. In the next round, Ryan lost again. Everyone started giving bad ideas. "It's boring just watching you 2 kiss. How about we say Sarah got drunk and tell David Miller, that simp, to pick her up?" "Heh, what's fun about that?" There's no suspense at all. Everyone knows that simp David Miller will grovel/suck up as soon as Sarah beckons. Sarah was expressionless and didn't contradict their contempt and slander against me. They must have often spoken about me like that. They had pulled this kind of trick New York Times before, and I fell for it every single time. "David Miller, can you stop being so disgusting and pathetic? You can't get rid of him." Sarah was still hesitating, but Ryan whined, "Sarah, I wanted to." With Sarah's nod of approval, her friend picked up her phone and called my number. The phone call connected quickly, but a female voice answered. "Hello, Who's calling? Her friend immediately hung up, looking at Sarah in astonishment. Sarah, does David Miller have a new partner? Sarah's face darkened immediately. Ryan added fuel to the fire from the side. Sarah, did David Miller cheat because he can't stand being alone? You were so good to him, how could he be so shameless? I was so angry I laughed instead. The shameless ones were clearly the two of them, yet they were throwing dirt on my name. If Sarah was good to me, would she have disregarded my life and death and divorced me 10 times? Sarah snatched the phone, radiating low pressure, and called back. It was the same female voice from before. Hello, who are you to David Miller? Sarah gritted her teeth. You're asking me? I'd like to ask you. Which of David Miller's affair partners are you? Where's David Miller? Let him answer the phone. You have the guts to cheat but not the guts to answer the phone? The more she spoke, the more agitated she became. She scoffed and continued. David Miller, I can't believe you're such a disgusting jerk. I really regret marrying you. I laughed, but tears started falling. Remembering my mother-in-law's kindness to me back then, I endured her cheating again and again, only to end up with the reputation of being a jerk. Sarah, you don't need to regret it. I'm dead. You're free from now on. The phone was on speaker. After she vented her anger, the female voice on the other end spoke again. Ma'am, are you David Miller's next of kin? I'm sorry, but he can no longer take your call. He's dead. He's at the hospital now. Please come as soon as possible to hand. The identification and cremation process. Silence. The room was suddenly eerily silent. I stared intently at the woman in front of me. Sarah, when you hear I'm dead, will you feel even a little sad? Dead? Who are you kidding? Just your jealousy acting up, because you're annoyed I spent too much time with Ryan. There's a limit to throwing tantrums. Don't actually jinx yourself to death, that would be a real loss. Sarah scoffed repeatedly. David Miller, if you keep being so unreasonable, then you can just wait to end up alone in the world. Even though my heart was dead, hearing her cold-blooded words, bitterness still filled my heart. She angrily hung up the phone and looked up at her stunned friends around her. Let's keep having fun. Don't let a stranger ruin our mood. Her circle of friends/companions snapped back to their senses and came forward to fawn over her. Sarah's the best. I think David Miller is just putting on an act, trying to get your attention. Yeah, who doesn't know Sarah divorced him 10 times? Every time Sarah beckons, he comes running back to get back together. He used to say Ryan was the third wheel. Now that you and Ryan are married, he's become the third wheel he used to look down on, haha. Hearing their laughter, my heart was a dead calm. I originally thought she would feel at least a little sad when she heard about my death. I never imagined that a human life can't compare to her having fun. If it wasn't for my mother back then, he'd probably be somewhere begging with broken legs. My family sponsored his education. I married him even though I didn't mind that he was a bit rough around the edges. He should be grateful. And still dared to act difficult and throw tantrums, spoiling him like that. Sarah chugged 2 glasses of alcohol, indignant. I was so angry I was shaking all over. My mother-in-law did sponsor me, it's true, but I had written him IOUs, planning to earn money and pay her back after I started working. Only when I graduated, my mother-in-law came to my door, wanting me to help her daughter. Back then, Sarah would stay in her room all day, either drinking or playing games. It was I who reached out to her, stayed by her side step by step, helping her out of her slump. The day she proposed, her expression was sincere. David, I will love you forever. That's why later, when she divorced me again and again because of Ryan, I kept thinking of her sincere feelings back then, wanting to give her another chance. But I never imagined that deep down, she completely looked down on me. Ryan leaned smugly into Sarah's embrace. If I hadn't gone abroad back then, David Miller wouldn't have been in the picture at all. He was just Sarah's convenient hookup when I wasn't around and she was lonely. Did he really think he was Mr. Miller? While the party was in full swing, Sarah used the excuse of getting some fresh air. She who never smoked rarely lit a cigarette. She looked at her silent phone. Finally, she couldn't hold back and called me. But this time, the phone rang for a long time with no answer. She cursed irritably and sent me a voice message. David Miller, are you doing this on purpose just to spite me? You answer other people's calls, but you deliberately ignore mine, right? I'm giving you one last chance. If you come home obediently tonight, I can let bygones be bygones. If you keep throwing a tantrum, then don't ever come back. Sarah, as you wish. I'll never go back, and I won't bother your childhood sweetheart's love with Ryan. The party ended. Sarah originally wanted Ryan to take a taxi home first. David Miller said he was injured and in the hospital earlier. I'll go check on him. But he wouldn't give up. Sarah, are you falling in love with David Miller? You promised to help me fulfill my last wish, marry me at the courthouse, and let me experience a month of marriage with you. How can you be worried about another man? Are you regretting it, don't you? You want me anymore? Then I'll leave, okay, I'll leave. Ryan rushed into the traffic in a fit of pique. Sarah was terrified and rushed after him. A piercing screech of brakes sounded. Sarah held Ryan tightly in her arms, but she was hit in the head. Sure enough, she couldn't bear for him to be hurt even a little. Ryan frantically took Sarah to the hospital. As luck would have it, the one who bandaged her wound was the same kind young nurse who was there before I passed away that day. She kept secretly glancing at Sarah. Finally, while Ryan went out to pay the bill, she couldn't help but ask, Sarah, do you know David Miller? Sarah never expected to hear my name from a stranger. The young nurse waved her hand apologetically. Maybe I have the wrong person. A couple of days ago, we had a severely injured patient here, named David Miller. The name of his loved one in his phone was Sarah, and your name is also Sarah, so I just wanted to ask. Sarah's heart inexplicably started to pound. She subconsciously asked, what happened to him? The young nurse's eyes turned red. He was so pathetic. He got into a car accident and didn't make it that night, but he stubbornly held on, waiting for his loved one. Unfortunately, he never got to see her. No one has come to see him even now. Sarah felt as if she had been struck by lightning and sat frozen in place. Her head was buzzing. She desperately tried to remember what happened the day of the accident. She faintly remembered David Miller pleading, I think I'm hurt, it really hurts, can you please get me out first? At that time, she was busy trying to intercept Ryan. She got into a car and left without even looking at him. He was really severely injured? Before he could ask, Ryan rushed in frantically with the bill, bumping the young nurse aside. How much did David Miller pay you to be his mouthpiece? Sarah, don't you believe this person? It's one thing to wrongly identify someone for no reason, but she's also making up lies to fool you. What's your employee ID? I'm going to file a complaint against you. The young nurse couldn't lift her head after being scolded. The attending physician heard the commotion and came out. Dr. Adams, Mr. Miller hasn't been claimed. I just asked for help. Dr. Adams sized up Sarah and instructed the young nurse to get my information. The emergency contact number listed here is indeed yours, even the ID number is the same. Saying this, she picked up the phone and dialed the number listed. Sarah's phone rang. The female voice on the phone call was so familiar. It turned out this Dr. Adams had answered my phone call before. Dr. Adams watched Sarah's face grow paler and paler with cold eyes, mercilessly. I wondered why you kept making excuses when we called you repeatedly to claim the body, and even slandered me, saying I was involved with David Miller? Accusing me while you're the guilty one. Your own husband hasn't even been buried yet, and you're already bringing your new partner home so eagerly? To be a woman like you must truly have a heart of stone. Sarah couldn't believe it and desperately shook her head, denying it. What are you talking about? What happened to David Miller? Why are both of you cursing him to be dead? He was clearly fine. He was talking to me just the other day. She took out her phone, frantically trying to find some proof that I was still alive. But my phone call to her remained frozen at that night, and our message history had never replied. But the truth was, I was already dead. Dr. Adams took her to the morgue and pulled out the refrigerated unit where I was stored. She stood right beside me, her chest rising and falling heavily, her hands trembling, but no matter what, she didn't have the courage to step forward and lift the white sheet covering me. It was Ryan behind her, whose eyes flashed with a trace of barely perceptible surprise. He stepped forward and pulled off the white sheet. My pale face suddenly appeared before her. She looked startled and fell back onto the floor. I squatted down, staring fixedly at her face, trying to find a trace of sadness. But there was none. I let out a light laugh. I was already dead. What was I hoping to see? I know this person. He's my wife's ex-husband. He's an orphan. Since we happened to find him, then we'll handle his funeral arrangements. Ryan put on a show of pity and helped Sarah up. Heh. I'd rather stay here forever than see his condescending face. I'll handle this. Sarah finally spoke. You're not feeling well. Don't bother yourself with these bothersome matters. Heh. I thought she had at least a tiny bit of lingering affection for me. It turned out she was worried that my death would somehow affect Ryan. She really did care about Ryan. I reluctantly followed beside her, watching her coldly handle my affairs after death. She took my ashes back home and kept them there. Was she even too cheap to buy me a burial plot? I wanted to leave, get far away from her, but it was futile every time. I watched helplessly as my presence in the house gradually disappeared. The lumbar pillow I had sewn myself was thrown into the trash can because Ryan thought it was bad luck. All my photos were thrown into the fire because Ryan had nightmares. Looking at the completely unfamiliar house, I thought no one in this world would remember that I had ever existed. I idly watched Sarah and her circle of friends/companions get completely drunk. Girls, I'm finally free. No more annoying past following me around, telling me to come home and nagging me to remarry him. Freedom forever, freedom forever. She was clearly having fun, but she kept taking out her phone, as if she was waiting for someone's call or message. Before, I worried she wouldn't find her way home when she was drunk, worried something would happen to her outside. I always asked her now and then when she was coming home. Now I understood how much she hated my behavior. But that night, when she was heavily drunk and stumbled several times coming home, she stubbornly sat beside the bedside and pulled Ryan, who was sleeping soundly. Why did you go to sleep without waiting for me? Why didn't you ask me when I was coming home? Why didn't you come pick me up? His good dream was disturbed. He irritably shoved her, but pushed her, drunk as she was, onto the floor. What's wrong with you, acting crazy when you're drunk? Didn't you hate being bothered when you were partying and drinking? Didn't you hate not having your own space? I gave you complete freedom to drink for as long as you want. Why aren't you happy now? He said, turning away impatiently and wrapping himself in the blanket. Sarah stared blankly at Ryan's back, muttering to herself. I drank too much, my head hurts, and my stomach feels bad. All she got in response was Ryan's thoughtless mumbling in his sleep. You reek of alcohol, it's awful. Sleep in the guest room tonight. Looking at this scene, I felt it was extremely ironic. During the years I was with her, whenever she went out drinking, no matter how late, I would wait for her, made her a hangover cure that wouldn't hurt her stomach. As soon as she got home, I would feed her the hangover cure, help her wash up, so she could have a comfortable and refreshing good night's sleep. Sarah was stunned for a long time. She just lay down on the floor and just fell into a deep sleep like that. Early the next morning, Ryan kicked Sarah on the floor. David, stop messing around, let me sleep a bit longer. That sentence instantly provoked Ryan. He went forward and shook Sarah awake. David Miller is dead. I'm your husband, Ryan. How can you treat me like this? These past few days you've been acting so cold and indifferent towards me. So you were thinking about David Miller the whole time. If you loved him so much, why did you lead me on back then? Sarah was fully awake, rubbing her throbbing temples. She couldn't understand. And how her usually gentle Ryan had become so bossy. I was just groggy and said the wrong thing. Do you have to keep harping on it? Unreasonable. Ryan, who had always been coddled and cherished, had never received such harsh words. He immediately slammed the door and ran out. Strangely, Sarah didn't chase after him, but slumped onto the sofa, staring blankly at my ashes. Why would I be thinking about David Miller? I must have been half asleep. Soon after, she received a phone call from a friend, saying Ryan had gotten drunk and asked her to pick him up. She walked to the private room door and saw Ryan chugging from a bottle of alcohol and brazenly holding one of the women on his lap. That Sarah is such a pushover. Every time, all it takes is one phone call from me, and she immediately divorces David Miller and comes running to me. Now that David Miller is dead, she's suddenly acting like she's desperately trying to win him back. Who the hell owes her anything? If she really loved David Miller, why did she get married to me? She wants to have her cake and eat it too. That arrogant bitch. Pa. Since she can think about other men, then I can find my own fun too. The surrounding people burst into laughter. The friend she usually called her bestie, Jessica, actually kissed Ryan without any hesitation. Her former besties clapped and cheered. Not a single person stood up to stop the charade unfolding before them. Sarah finally couldn't hold back and rushed in, grabbing Jessica by the hair and swung a punch. They were tangled up in a fight until the people around them forcefully separated them. I can't believe I considered you friends. There's an unwritten rule, you don't cross the line with your friends' partners, right? Jessica wiped the blood from her lip and scoffed contemptuously. It was something between two consenting adults. Do you need to make such a big deal out of it? Besides, Ryan was the one who initiated it. He wants to sleep with me. What's it to you? Don't act all wronged and like a decent person/gentleman. Aren't you also cheating/having an affair when you are married? Something about that angered Sarah. She clenched her fists, and veins popped out on her forehead. Who's cheating? What Ryan and I have is pure/innocent/platonic. Don't just slander me. Ryan, his eyes hazy with drunkenness, looked at the woman he had loved for many years. Pure and platonic? Sarah, what kind of pure and innocent person would divorce her husband again and again for another man? What kind of good older sister would allow her younger brother to get off on her behalf? Ha! You've probably been fooling that idiot David Miller for so long, you've even started believing it yourself. He didn't feel satisfied. He pulled out a red marriage certificate from his bag and threw it in Sarah's face. Take a good look. You're my wife now. Why are you thinking about other men? Wasn't that what you wanted? You said it was your last wish. We're just pretending to be married. It's official, signed and sealed. Sarah, which one do you say is fake? I, Ryan, am not that weakling David Miller. If you dare betray me, I'll make you a cuckold. If one isn't enough, I'll give you two. We'll torment each other until we die. I'll go back and smash that jerk David Miller's urn in a bit. With a slap, everyone finally quieted down. Ryan covered his face, looking in disbelief at the woman who kept saying she'd protect him forever. Sarah, I hate you. Looking at this charade/scene, I felt utterly bored. Everyone parted ways angrily. Sarah drank heavily all night. She stumbled back at home and started rummaging through everything, looking for something. Why isn't it here? It was definitely here before. She took out her phone and called me like crazy. David Miller, where are you hiding? Come out. If you come out, we'll go to the courthouse tomorrow and remarry. I promise, I'll never divorce you again. She wandered around the room in vain but couldn't find a single trace of my existence. The lumbar pillow I had sewn, the bedding set I liked, the plants I had personally grown, our wedding photo. They were all gone. After all, she had tacitly allowed Ryan to throw them away. Who is she regretting for now? Finally, with red eyes, she picked up my urn. David, I was wrong. Are you still mad at me? Don't be mad. It's not good for your health. Come back quickly, let's have a baby together. Love that comes too late is worthless. Seeing her regretful state, I just felt disgusted. Holding my ashes, she drifted in and out of sleep. Don't know how long passed. The door suddenly opened from the outside. In a daze, she seemed to see a figure. She scrambled over, half crawling, and hugged the person who came in. David, you're finally back. but she was violently pushed to the ground by the person who came in. Sarah, how long are you going to act crazy? I'm Ryan. I'm your husband now. Why can't you look at me? Can we forget about David Miller? Let's have a good life together from now on. Don't you like children? Let's have one right now. Hearing that, what flashed before her eyes, however, was David Miller's excited face when he found out she was pregnant back then. Sarah, I'm going to be a dad. At that time, she was worried about Ryan and simply aborted the baby. Because of this, David Miller was sad for a long time. How could she have been such a jerk back then? Sarah pushed him away coldly. You're dirty. What makes you think I'd still want you? Ryan never expected Sarah to say that about him. His eyes turned red with grievance. Sarah, you jerk. I'm the jerk? Do you think I'm easy to fool? Sarah took a stack of photos from her pocket and threw them in Ryan's face. The photos showed Ryan from when he went abroad until now, hanging out in nightclubs, and photos of him going in and out of hotels with different women, talking about staying faithful to me and waiting for me all this time, talking about having depression and being terminally ill. It was all lies. Ryan felt extremely guilty at once and knelt on the ground, crying uncontrollably. Sarah, I was just young and naive. I only did that in a fit of pique when I found out you got married. Sarah, the only one I truly love is you. Otherwise, I wouldn't have gone to great lengths to snatch you away and bring you to my side. I just love you too much. I promise, I won't act up again. Sarah, please give me one more chance. But she shook her head heartlessly. I give you a chance. Who gave David a chance? Ryan, who had always been self-centered, couldn't stand being rejected repeatedly. He acted viciously, rushed forward and snatched my ashes. He threw it out the window. The urn shattered, and the ashes scattered in the wind with a gust of wind. David! As the ashes scattered, my body gradually detached from Sarah's control. Finally, I saw Sarah dragging Ryan as they fell from the building together. 2 patches of swaying red flowers bloomed on the ground. Sarah stared with eyes full of resentment towards where I was standing, struggling to reach out to me. David, you're finally willing to see me. I was wrong. Can you forgive me? I shook my head resolutely. Sarah, I will not forgive you. Not for all eternity. More and more blood poured from her mouth. I turned away coldly, floated towards the light above. If there is a next life, may we never meet again.